Don't touch that! The manager's hand shot out and slapped Maya's wrist hard enough to leave a red mark. The impact sent Maya's coffee cup flying. Brown liquid splashed across the pristine white marble floor of Maison Étoile. "Are you insane?" the manager screeched, clutching the $10,000 Birkin bag to her chest like a rescued child. "Your greasy fingers will ruin the leather. This bag costs more than you make in a year." She turned to the security guard, switching to rapid, sneering French. "Regardez cette poubelle. Why do we let people like this in? She smells like cheap food and desperation." Maya stood frozen, coffee dripping from her hand. The manager didn't know two things. First, Maya understood every word of French. And second, Maya was the owner of this entire brand. 20 minutes earlier, Maya took a sip of her Starbucks, grande iced coffee, nothing fancy, and headed toward the back display. She was still in her gym clothes, black Nike joggers with a white stripe down the side, oversized gray hoodie, sleeves pushed up to her elbows. Her hair was pulled into a messy bun, and she'd scrubbed off her makeup after her morning workout. She looked exactly like what she was, a tired woman running errands before her 3 o'clock meeting. She also looked, to certain people, like someone who didn't belong here. The bag she wanted sat on a marble column under a spotlight. Hermes Birkin, limited edition, in a deep burgundy that looked almost black in certain light. Hand-stitched, palladium hardware. She'd seen the specs when her team sent over the competitive analysis last week. $10,000, give or take. Maya reached for it. A hand shot out and snatched the bag away so violently that Maya's coffee cup tilted. Brown liquid sloshed over the rim, splashing across her hand and onto the pristine white marble floor. The stain spread like an accusation. "Are you insane?" The woman holding the bag was maybe 40, with blonde hair pulled into a bun so tight it looked painful. She wore a black Chanel suit with the kind of fit that screamed custom tailoring. Her name tag read Claire Beaumont, manager. "You think you can just grab a $10,000 bag with those dirty hands?" Maya set her coffee cup carefully on the nearest surface, a glass side table that probably cost $3,000, and pulled a napkin from her pocket. She crouched down and started dabbing at the coffee stain on the floor. "Don't bother." Claire's voice could have cut glass. She snapped her fingers at a young woman standing near the register. The girl looked maybe 22, 23, Latina with dark hair and a sleek ponytail and eyes that said she'd rather be anywhere else. Her name tag read Sophia Martinez, Associate. "Sophia, call maintenance. And get security." Sophia's eyes went wide. Security? But she didn't. Now, Claire didn't even look at her. Maya straightened up slowly. She pulled out her phone from her hoodie pocket. The movement was casual, relaxed, like she had all the time in the world. "This isn't a McDonald's," Claire continued, her voice rising just enough that the other customers, a well-dressed couple near the jewelry case, 2 women examining scarves in the corner, turned to look. "If you can't afford to shop here, there's a Gap 3 blocks down." Maya's thumb moved across her phone screen. 1 tap, 2. She didn't say anything. Her face was completely calm, neutral. The kind of calm that came from practice. Every word, she thought, "I'm recording all of this." The door to the back office opened and a security guard emerged. He was maybe 40, black with a tired face and a uniform that had seen better days. His name tag read Derek Johnson. He looked at Claire, then at Maya, then at the coffee stain on the floor, and something in his expression said he knew this wasn't going to end well. "Ma'am," he said quietly, and Maya wasn't sure which one of them he was talking to. "Escort this woman out," Claire said, still holding the Birkin like it was evidence in a crime. "She's disturbing the other customers." Before we continue, comment where in the world you're watching from, and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. Derek shifted his weight. "She hasn't actually done anything. She assaulted a $10,000 bag with her greasy coffee hands," Claire said. "That's destruction of property. Now do your job, or I'll call someone who will." Maya slipped her phone back into her pocket. When she spoke, her voice was quiet, polite, the kind of voice that said she was used to dealing with difficult people. "I'd like to shop," she said. "Is that going to be a problem?" Claire's lips pressed into a thin line. For a moment, she looked like she might actually explode. Then she did something worse. She smiled, the kind of smile that didn't reach anywhere near her eyes. She turned to Derek and switched languages. Her French was rapid, fluent, with a Parisian accent that she'd probably spent years perfecting. "Get this garbage out of here before she scares away the real clients. She smells like cheap fast food from the street. Look at her, probably here to case the place for a robbery later." Derek's jaw tightened. "Ma'am, I don't think—" Claire cut him off, still in French, her voice dropping to a tone that suggested she was sharing a confidence. "These people always think they can walk into places like this. I've seen 100 of them. They take photos for their Instagram, waste our time asking questions about things they can't afford, then leave without buying anything. It's pathetic." Maya had moved to a display of silk scarves. She ran her finger along the edge of one, cream-colored with a pattern of gold chains. Her face showed nothing, no reaction, no anger, nothing. But inside, behind the calm exterior, something cold and sharp was taking notes. "She doesn't know I spent 2 years in Paris, or that I wrote the employee handbook she's currently violating." Claire was still talking, her French getting more animated. She gestured at Maya with one perfectly manicured hand. "Watch her hands carefully. They steal in pairs usually. One person distracts while the other grabs merchandise. I want you standing right next to her the entire time she's in this store." Sophia, who'd been standing frozen near the register, looked physically ill. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something, then closed it again. Her hands twisted together. Claire turned to her, switching to rapid French. "And you, stop standing there like a useless statue. Watch her bag. Watch her pockets. The moment you see something, you tell me. Do you understand? These people are professionals." "These people," Sophia repeated in French, her voice barely audible. She looked at Maya, then quickly away. Maya picked up the cream scarf and examined it in the light. The fabric was pure silk, hand-rolled edges. She could feel the quality without even looking at the price tag. She draped it over her palm, watching how it caught the light. "Excuse me," she said, her voice still perfectly polite. She spoke in English with an American accent that had just a hint of something underneath, something that could have been anything. "May I see the clutch in the window? The emerald one?" Claire's transformation was instant. The sneer disappeared, replaced by that tight, fake smile again. She walked to the window display with steps that were just a little too sharp, a little too quick. She picked up the clutch, green leather with gold hardware, small enough to fit in one hand, and held it like she was presenting a crown jewel. "This piece," she said, her voice dripping with condescension, "is $12,000. It's from our autumn collection, very exclusive." She paused, letting the number hang in the air. "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at H&M? They have some lovely bags, much more accessible." The two women in the corner, both white, both in their 50s, both dressed in the kind of clothes that screamed old money, had stopped pretending to look at scarves. They were watching now, their shopping bags from Bergdorf Goodman and Saks sitting at their feet. The taller one, with silver hair cut in a sharp bob, whispered something to her companion. The other one, darker hair, glasses, pulled out her phone. Maya stepped closer to the clutch. "It's beautiful. I'll take it. And the scarf." Claire's smile flickered. "Just for a second. I'm sorry, did you say you'll take it?" "Yes. Can you ring those up, please?" There was a pause, a beat of silence where Claire seemed to be recalculating. "Do you even know what $12,000 means?" Claire's voice was loud enough now that everyone in the boutique could hear. "That's cash. Real money. Not a payment plan. Not layaway." Maya reached into her hoodie pocket and pulled out a wallet. Black leather? Simple. She extracted a card and held it out. American Express Centurion. The black card. The one that didn't have a credit limit. Claire's eyes narrowed as she took it, holding it between two fingers like it might be contaminated. Claire walked to the register with the card, her heels clicking against the marble like tiny hammers. She set the clutch and scarf on the counter, then slid the black card through the reader with exaggerated slowness. Her fingers moved across the keyboard, one key at a time, deliberately making Maya wait. The two women in the corner had moved closer now, pretending to examine a display of leather gloves, but clearly watching everything. The one with silver hair, Anne, though Maya didn't know her name yet, had her phone out, screen angled carefully. Recording. Claire leaned toward Sophia and switched back to French, her voice low but not quite low enough. Check if this card is stolen. Women like her. They use stolen cards, or it's some married man's money, sugar daddy paying her bills while his wife is at home. Run the purchase twice if you have to. Sophia's hands shook as she looked at the computer screen. The card went through, she whispered back in French. It's legitimate. The transaction cleared. Claire's face did something complicated. Shock, then disbelief, then something darker. Anger, maybe, or embarrassment. She printed the receipt with a sharp jab at the button, then began wrapping the items with excessive care. The clutch went into tissue paper, then a dust bag, then a rigid shopping bag with rope handles. Every movement said, I'm doing this because it's my job, not because you deserve it. She placed the bag on the counter and slid the receipt across. Your items, she said in English, each word clipped. Maya reached for the bag. Her coffee cup was still sitting on the glass side table where she'd left it, condensation pooling at the base. Thank you, Maya said. She picked up the shopping bag, then her coffee, but she didn't move toward the door. Instead, she turned and walked deeper into the boutique, toward the back wall where the coats hung on individual brass hooks under soft lighting. Claire's voice came out sharp. Excuse me, can I help you with something else? Yes. Maya stopped in front of a camel-colored cashmere coat. It was knee-length with a belt and collar that could be worn up or down. She'd seen the specs for this piece too, Loro Piana fabric, hand-finished buttonholes. I'd like to see this coat, the cashmere. That's a pre-order piece. Claire had followed her, maintaining a distance of exactly 5 feet, close enough to intervene, far enough to avoid actual proximity. $50,000. It's not available to walk-ins. We require appointments for items in that price range. I'll take it. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Claire actually laughed. Not a real laugh, a short, sharp bark of disbelief. You'll take it. A $50,000 coat just like that. Final sale, correct? Maya's voice remained calm, conversational, like they were discussing the weather. No returns on pre-order items over $10,000. I read the policy on your website. Derek, who'd been standing near the entrance trying to look like he wasn't involved in any of this, shifted his weight. Ma'am, he said quietly. And again, it wasn't clear which woman he was addressing. Maybe we should. Claire whirled on him. Maybe you should do the job I asked you to do 20 minutes ago. Back to French now, her voice rising. Let her dig her own grave. The card will decline. Then we'll call the real police, and she can explain where she really got that black card. Probably some scam. Identity theft. They're sophisticated now, you know. They make fake cards that work once or twice before the system catches them. Maya set down her shopping bag and coffee cup on a nearby bench. White leather, probably meant for husbands waiting for their wives to finish shopping. She pulled out her phone again. This time, she didn't just glance at it. She opened an app, typed something, and her thumbs moved quickly across the screen. The light from the display reflected in her eyes. Claire watched with a smile that said she knew exactly what was happening. Writing a bad review already? Go ahead. Corporate loves hearing from people who can't afford to shop here. Sophia had disappeared. Maya noticed it peripherally. The young woman had slipped through a door marked Staff Only, while Claire was focused on her. Smart girl. She wants police? Maya thought, still typing. Perfect, I'll give her police and HR and corporate and her worst nightmare. Maya finished typing and slipped her phone back into her pocket. She looked at Claire, really looked at her for the first time since entering the store. Took in the tight bun, the Chanel suit, the way she held herself, like she owned not just the boutique but the entire block of Fifth Avenue. I'd still like to see the coat, Maya said. Claire's smile was pure venom now. Of course, let me get that for you. She walked to the coat, lifted it off the brass hook with both hands like it was a sacred relic, and brought it over. She held it up, displaying it. The cashmere caught the light, looking impossibly soft. As I said, $50,000. Loro Piana fabric from Italy. Only 12 pieces in this color worldwide. Hand-stitched lining. It takes 6 weeks to produce each one. She paused. Shall I start the paperwork, or would you like to think about it? The way she said, think about it, made it clear what she really meant. Run along before you embarrass yourself further. I'll take it, Maya said. Claire's professional mask slipped again. Just for a second, her mouth tightened. Then she recovered. Wonderful. Let me just confirm we have your size in stock. She turned to walk back to the register. That's when she did it. Claire reached under the counter and pulled out a small bottle. Luxury air freshener, the kind boutiques keep on hand for after customers try on perfume samples. She held it up, aimed it in Maya's general direction, and sprayed. Once, twice, 3 times. The mist hung in the air between them, bergamot and something floral. Expensive like everything else in the store. But the message was unmistakable. Sorry, Claire said, not sounding sorry at all. Her voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. Sometimes the store gets stuffy when we've had a lot of foot traffic. Certain smells tend to linger. The woman with silver hair, Anne, actually gasped. Not loud, but audible in the sudden silence. Her companion Patricia had her phone up now too, no longer pretending she wasn't recording. Derek took a step forward. Miss Beaumont, that's not... Not what? Claire spun toward him. Not appropriate to keep the boutique smelling fresh? I'm maintaining our standards, Derek, something you seem to have forgotten how to do. Maya's jaw tightened, just slightly. The first real crack in her composure since she'd walked in. Her hands, which had been relaxed at her sides, curled into fists. But her voice, when she spoke, was still calm, still controlled. The coat, she said. Can you ring it up? Claire stared at her for a long moment. Then she laughed. A real laugh this time, genuine amusement. You know what? Sure. Let's ring up a $50,000 coat for someone who probably can't even make rent. This should be entertaining. She walked back to the register and began typing with sharp, aggressive keystrokes. The black Amex card was still sitting on the counter from the previous purchase. Claire picked it up and slid it through the reader again. Anne stepped closer, her phone still recording. Excuse me, she said, her accent British, refined. I'm a customer here, and I'd like to speak to a manager about what I just witnessed. Claire didn't even look at her. I am the manager. Then I'd like corporate's number. There's a website on your receipt. Feel free to leave feedback that no one will read. Patricia, the other woman, moved to stand next to Anne. We're both witnesses to what just happened. That was discriminatory behavior. Claire finally turned to face them, her expression shifting to something smoother, more diplomatic. These women, unlike Maya, were dressed appropriately. Expensive clothes, expensive jewelry, the right hair, the right everything. These were customers worth keeping. Ladies, I appreciate your concern, but I assure you we maintain the highest standards of service here. Sometimes situations arise that require discretion, and I'm simply trying to manage the boutique environment for all our valued clients. She smiled at them. Now, is there anything I can help you find today? We just received a new shipment of scarves from Milan. We're fine, Anne said coldly. We'll wait. The card reader beeped. Transaction approved. Claire's face went pale. She stared at the screen like it had personally betrayed her. $50,000. Cleared instantly. No holds, no verification calls, nothing. She printed the receipt in silence. Claire wrapped the coat with mechanical precision. Tissue paper, garment bag, then into a large rigid box with the Maison Étoile logo embossed in gold. Her movements were stiff now, controlled. She tied the ribbon with a sharp pull and set the box on the counter with just a little too much force. Your purchase, she said. The words came out flat. Maya reached for the box. As she did, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, glanced at the screen. Her expression didn't change, but something in her posture shifted. She typed a quick response, then slid the phone back into her hoodie. She picked up the large box, the shopping bag from her first purchase, and her coffee cup. For a moment, it looked like she might actually leave. Like this nightmare scenario Claire had created might actually end without further incident. Then Maya paused. She set everything down on the white leather bench and turned back to the jewelry display near the window. There was a bracelet there, thin, rose gold, with tiny diamonds set in a pattern that caught the light. Simple, but elegant. The kind of piece that cost maybe $5,000, which in this store was practically nothing. Maya moved toward it. "Don't touch that!" Claire's voice cracked across the boutique like a whip. Everyone froze. Derek, Anne, and Patricia. Even a couple who'd just entered the store stopped mid-step, the door still closing behind them. Claire strode forward, her heels clicking rapid fire on the marble. "Derek, check her bag, now!" Derek's eyes went wide. "What, Miss Beaumont? I can't just..." "She's been acting suspicious since she walked in here." Claire's voice was shaking, but not with fear. With something else. Desperation, maybe. Or rage that she'd been backed into a corner by someone she'd written off as nobody. The coffee was a distraction. I saw her slip something into her pocket when I turned around to help another customer. Maya turned slowly to face her. "I haven't taken anything. Then you won't mind being searched." Claire's voice rose. "Derek, do your job, or I swear to God I will call the actual police and have you both removed." Patricia stepped forward. She was shorter than Anne, maybe 5'4", with dark hair and glasses that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. "This is insane. I've been watching this woman the entire time. She hasn't taken anything." Claire whirled on her. "And who are you, her friend? Are you working together?" Anne moved to stand beside Patricia, her phone still recording. "I'm also a witness. You're making a false accusation. I suggest you stop right now before you make this worse." "Both of you, out!" Claire pointed at the door. "Get out of my store before I have security remove you too." "Your store?" Anne's eyebrow went up. Interesting choice of words. Claire's face was red now, blotchy with emotion. She grabbed the phone from behind the counter, the boutique's landline. "Fine, I'm calling the police. Let them sort this out. Attempted theft, trespassing, harassment." "Before you do that," Maya said, her voice cutting through the chaos like a blade, "let me save you a phone call." The room went quiet. Maya pulled out her phone again. This time she opened an app with a sleek interface, black background, silver text. She tapped through several screens, and when she turned the phone so Derek could see it, his face went from confused to shocked. On the screen, live security feed from 4 different cameras in the boutique. Timestamp in the corner showing the current time, and a menu bar at the top with options like all locations, employee records, live analytics. Claire's face drained of color. "What is that? How do you have..." Maya's voice changed. Still calm, still controlled, but now there was steel underneath. Authority. The kind of tone that expected to be obeyed. And when she spoke, it wasn't in English anymore. "Mademoiselle Claire Beaumont." The French rolled off her tongue like water, but not the French of someone who'd learned it in school. This was Parisian French, aristocratic, the kind spoken in the 16th arrondissement, where old money lived. "Employee number 742, hired 14 months ago from the Champs-Élysées location after your manager there declined to renew your contract." The room had gone absolutely silent. Even the newly arrived couple stood frozen by the door. Claire's mouth opened, closed, opened again. "Who? How do you..." Maya continued in French, her accent flawless, every word precisely chosen. "In the last 37 minutes, you have violated corporate policy 4-2, discriminatory service based on customer appearance. Policy 6-1, unauthorized physical contact with a customer. That was when you grabbed the bag from my hands. Policy 8-5, use of derogatory language based on race or perceived socioeconomic status. And Policy 9-3. She paused, let the silence stretch. False accusation of theft to conceal discriminatory behavior. Claire stammered in French, her carefully constructed accent falling apart. You can't, this is..." Maya switched back to English, her voice carrying across the boutique. My name is Maya Laurent. I founded this brand 9 years ago in a 1,200 square foot studio in Brooklyn. I still own 48% of it. And I personally wrote the employee handbook you've been violating for the past half hour. The door chimed. A man entered, 50-something, British, with silver hair and a charcoal suit that fit like it had been sewn onto him. He took in the scene with sharp eyes, the coffee stain still visible on the marble, Maya in her gym clothes holding her phone, Claire's face now chalk white, the customers with their phones out recording. Ms. Laurent. His accent was pure London, expensive schools and old money. I came as soon as Sophia messaged me. I was 3 blocks away at the Madison Avenue location. So that's where Sophia had gone. Smart girl indeed. Thomas, Maya nodded to him. Thank you for coming. Claire found her voice switching desperately to French. Thomas, this woman is lying. She's... Thomas cut her off, speaking in English. His voice was quiet, but it carried weight. I know exactly who she is, Miss Beaumont. I've worked for Ms. Laurent for 6 years. The question is, do you? He pulled out his own phone, typed something quickly. I've been listening to Sophia's voice memo for the past 4 minutes. The entire incident. Your comments in French. All of it. Claire swayed slightly. She grabbed the counter for support. Maya gestured toward Anne and Patricia, who were still standing near the jewelry case. Ladies, I apologize for the disruption. I believe you're here for the 3 o'clock appointment. We were supposed to meet in the private showroom upstairs. Patricia stepped forward, extending her hand. Even now, there was amusement in her eyes. Patricia Chen, senior buyer for Bergdorf Goodman. We've been emailing for 3 weeks about the spring collection. Anne followed suit. Anne Keller, Harrods, London. I flew in specifically for this meeting. The sound Claire made was somewhere between a gasp and a whimper. These were the VIP clients. The ones she'd been preparing for all week. The ones she'd been bragging about to the other staff, telling them how she was going to personally handle the most important buyers in luxury retail. She'd had their names written on the reservation list upstairs. She'd probably practiced her pitch in the mirror. And she just screamed at them, called them accomplices, ordered them out of the store. Thomas's voice was gentle but final. Ms. Beaumont, you're terminated effective immediately. Security will escort you to collect your personal belongings. You have 15 minutes. Thomas, please. Claire switched back to French, her voice breaking. I didn't know she looked like she was dressed like... Like what, Claire? Maya's French was ice cold now. Say it, with cameras rolling. Tell everyone exactly what you thought I looked like. Claire's mouth worked, but no sound came out. Patricia held up her phone. For the record, Ms. Laurent and I have been texting for the past 15 minutes. She told me to keep recording. I have everything. From the moment she grabbed the bag to the air freshener to the false theft accusation. Anne nodded. Harrods has a zero-tolerance policy for brands whose employees demonstrate racist behavior. We'll need to review our contract with Maison Étoile very carefully. Maya turned to her, and something in her expression softened. Anne, please don't. Claire doesn't represent this brand. She's one bad hire who slipped through our screening process. Thomas will ensure it doesn't happen again. I'd hate for this to impact our partnership or the jobs of the 63 other people who work here and do their jobs correctly. Anne studied her for a moment, then nodded slowly. We'll proceed as planned, but I want a full report on the corrective action taken. You'll have it by end of business Monday. Thomas had his phone to his ear now. Yes, I need the employment termination packet for Claire Beaumont, employee 742, immediate dismissal for cause, and contact legal will need documentation of policy violations. He paused. Multiple witnesses, video evidence, the full package. Derek, who'd been standing by silently through all of this, cleared his throat. Ms. Laurent, I should have done more. I should have stopped her earlier. I'm sorry. Maya looked at him. Really looked at him. She saw the tired eyes, the uniform that needed pressing, the way he stood like a man who'd learned that sometimes keeping your job meant keeping your head down. You hesitated, she said. You questioned her orders. You tried to de-escalate. That took more courage than you know. She turned to Thomas. Derek gets promoted to floor supervisor. Full raise, full training. I want him managing security protocols for this location. Derek's eyes went wide. Ma'am, I can't. Yes, you can. See Thomas on Monday morning. She looked around the boutique, found Sophia peeking out from the staff door. Sophia, come here, please. The young woman crept forward like she expected to be yelled at. You ran to get help instead of participating in what was happening. You made the right call when it mattered. Maya smiled. You're promoted to assistant manager, effective immediately. Thomas will set up your training schedule. You'll shadow the manager at our Soho location for 3 months, then come back here. Sophia's hand went to her mouth. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you so much. Claire was being escorted toward the back office by Derek, but she stopped, turned. Her carefully constructed composure had completely shattered, mascara smudged under one eye, hair coming loose from that severe bun. This is insane. Her voice was shrill now, desperate. You can't just fire me. I'll sue. I'll go to the labor board. This is wrongful termination. I was doing my job. I was protecting the merchandise from what? Maya's voice cut across hers. Finish that sentence, Claire. Tell everyone what you were protecting it from. Claire's mouth snapped shut. You won't sue, Maya continued, her tone almost conversational. Because if you do, these videos go public. Patricia and Anne will make sure every luxury retailer in New York, London, Paris, Milan, and Tokyo knows exactly what happened here today, and you'll never work in this industry again. Patricia nodded, her phone still in her hand. We have a group chat. 347 buyers across 6 continents. One message from me and your name becomes radioactive. No one in luxury retail will touch you. Anne added, and I sit on the advisory board for the Fashion Institute. One word about discriminatory behavior, and you're blacklisted from every hiring event, every networking mixer, every industry conference. You'll be done. Claire's face crumpled. For a moment, she looked like she might cry. Then something harder took over. Pride, maybe, or just pure spite. Fine, she spat. Fine. This whole place is a joke anyway. You want to cater to people who show up in gym clothes? Go ahead. See how long that lasts when your real clients stop coming because you've lowered your standards to... Out! Thomas's voice was quiet, but it carried absolute authority. Now, before I call the actual police and have you removed for trespassing. Derek gently took Claire's arm and guided her toward the back. She went, but not quietly. Her voice carried all the way across the boutique. You'll regret this. All of you. You can't treat me like this. I know people. I have connections. The staff door closed behind them, muffling her voice. The silence that followed was almost deafening. Maya looked around the boutique, at the couple by the door who were still standing frozen, at Anne and Patricia, phones out, recording everything, at Sophia, crying quietly near the register, at Thomas, already typing on his phone, probably sending messages to legal and HR. Then she looked at the other customers. The couple, a woman who'd slipped in during the chaos and was pretending to examine handbags. All of them had witnessed this. All of them had their phones out. I apologize, Maya said, her voice clear and carrying. You came here for a luxury shopping experience, and instead you witnessed something that should never happen in any store, much less one that bears my name. I failed to provide adequate oversight, and I'm sorry. She walked to the register where Sophia was still standing, pulled out her black card again. Everyone who's currently in this store, your next purchase today is 30% off. If you don't find anything today, the discount is good for 30 days. Just give them your email at checkout. The woman examining handbags looked up, surprised. That's not necessary. Yes, it is, Maya said quietly. Thomas had finished his phone calls. Ms. Laurent, the private showroom is ready when you are. I've had them bring up the spring collection pieces we discussed. Thank you, Thomas. Maya picked up her shopping bags. The clutch, the scarf, the $50,000 coat. The coffee was mostly melted ice by now. She left it on the bench. She turned to Anne and Patricia. Shall we? Patricia was still smiling, that amused expression that said she'd just witnessed something remarkable. That was the most expensive show I've ever watched. Better than Broadway. Please don't tell me you're going to put that in your report to Bergdorf's. Oh, absolutely I am. But it's going in the Brands with Integrity column, not the other one. The three of them headed toward the elevator at the back of the boutique. As they walked, Maya could hear the couple finally moving, the woman asking to see a wallet, the other customer approaching Sophia and asking about a bag. Business continuing, despite everything. The elevator doors opened. Before stepping in, Maya turned back one last time. The boutique looked the same as when she'd entered. Same marble floors, same crystal chandeliers, same carefully curated displays. But something fundamental had shifted. Sophia was helping a customer now. Her tears dried, her voice steady. Derek emerged from the back office, nodded to Thomas, and took up position near the entrance with straighter posture than before. And the coffee stain on the marble? Someone had already cleaned it up. Like it had never happened at all. 6 months later, the new Maison Étoile flagship opened on the Champs-Élysées in Paris on a Tuesday morning in March. Maya stood outside in a cream-colored suit, one from her own spring collection, and cut the ribbon while cameras flashed. The store behind her was 3 floors of glass and light, designed to feel open, welcoming. Nothing like the fortress on Fifth Avenue used to feel. Sophia stood beside her, wearing the assistant manager pin on her lapel. She'd finished her training in Soho and was now running the New York location. At 23, she was the youngest manager in the company's history. Derek managed security for the entire East Coast now. 6 locations, 47 employees under him. He wore a suit instead of a uniform and had an office with his name on the door. Forbes had run the article 2 weeks ago. How Maya Laurent built a $200 million brand on inclusivity. The photo showed her in her Brooklyn studio, the same one where she'd started 9 years ago. She'd kept it, even after the company grew, used it for design sessions and testing new pieces. The article mentioned the Fifth Avenue incident. Briefly, one paragraph about how a viral video had sparked industry-wide changes in retail training, how luxury brands across the world had revised their employee handbooks, added bias training, implemented secret shopper programs to catch discrimination before it escalated. It didn't mention Claire Beaumont by name. It didn't have to. The video had done that job already. Maya walked through the new Paris location after the ribbon cutting, Patricia and Anne beside her. They'd flown in for the opening, along with buyers from Selfridges, Galeries Lafayette, and Isetan. "You've changed the whole industry," Patricia said, running her hand along a display of handbags. "Every retailer I work with has completely overhauled their customer service training. They all cite your incident response as the model." Maya picked up a clutch, emerald green, similar to the one from that day. "I didn't change anything. I just reminded people that luxury isn't about excluding people who don't look a certain way. It's about making everyone feel extraordinary when they walk through your door." Anne laughed. "Very diplomatic, but we both know what you actually did. You made it financially dangerous to be discriminatory. That video cost the industry millions in bad PR. Now every brand knows. Treat people badly, and it won't just cost you one customer. It'll cost you everything." They walked to the second floor, where the private showroom was already set up for afternoon appointments. Through the windows, the Parisian skyline stretched out. Rooftops and chimney pots in the distant shape of the Arc de Triomphe. I hope you enjoyed that story. Please like the video and subscribe so that you do not miss out on the next one. In the meantime, I have handpicked 2 stories for you that I think you will enjoy. Have a great day.